The first thing to say is we've only just got the document and there's loads of detail in it and we need to go through it because normally the Office of Budget Responsibility, which is the independent fiscal watchdog, would also produce figures where it's looked at the government figures. This time we don't have that.
So we've got ferocious maths.
Well, he's doing ferocious maths over there.
You're just sitting with your head in your hands.
Yeah, what we have is a sort of set of figures that we have to drill down. The first thing is to say is the big picture of that was a Chancellor saying the first year of this government was to fix the foundations and now we want to try and grow the economy. And you heard her acknowledge there that too many people across the country are not feeling the benefits of a Labour government, and I want to change that. That was the kind of political framing of it. It was interesting, too, that when she chose to attack, the party that she was actually targeting was Reform, where she talked about unfunded spending commitments that Nigel Farage has made in the past couple of weeks and argued that Reform was not a serious party. So the politics of it, you can see, as a Labour Party trying to convince voters it can deliver the change, and that the other people that voters might be turning their eyes to at the moment, they are not credible. That was her political argument. When you drill into the numbers, the thing that struck me in that speech was the way in which she was throwing out projects and ideas and funding. You'd think that she had this largesse to throw around the country, and that was the rhetorical idea of that speech, but actually in terms of what was in it, there wasn't much new in terms of announcements of capital investment.
A lot have been
they've rolled that all out. And one thing people were looking for example, was the Liverpool-Manchester line, a big rail project there. That wasn't announced. She said she would update on some of the northern powerhouse rail networks in the coming weeks. So there weren't any big new announcements in capital. And as you said, in terms of the winners and losers, when you get down to the day-to-day spending, there is a chart here which Ed is frantically going through to build some charts, and I'm gently reading. But look, the big winner there is clearly the NHS, 3.3% uplift in the NHS England budget over the period of 2025 to 6 to 2028 to 29. That's the next 3 years. But the point of that, Jane, is a 3% uplift for the NHS means that other budgets are suffering. And when I go through this, if you look at the Home Office, we were talking about it earlier, it looks like the Home Office is having a real terms cut here. The budget for the Home Office down 1.7%, and the average spend across all departments would be 1.2 in surplus. So the Home Office really being squeezed here. And also, I would look too at the schools budget, because although Bridget Phillipson seems to be content with the settlement, the core school budget going up only 0.4% in real terms over the next 3 years. So again, that falling well below the average. And I think what you're seeing here is in some of the budgets where it's being squeezed, she's trying to find money in the capital budget. So you heard about the housing budget, defence, a lot of there's defence uplift coming there. But you're seeing some squeezes in departments in the day-to-day spending. There's also something about core spending power, both around police investment and local government, which could be about passing back spending increases back onto council tax bills, and we need to look a bit more into that. But that's another little flag in my mind about whether or not there's increases promised, but it's being pushed back to taxpayers when it comes to their council tax bills. But that's so far unclear until I've got through this document.
And it's important, the day-to-day spending, isn't it? Because all of these big capital projects, they all sound good, but they're all going to take time.
Exactly.
And Labour want the voters to be feeling the pleasure, as it were, in 3 years' time when we come to the next election.
Yeah, and look, politically, what's going on here? This is a government and a chancellor that have put their eggs in the NHS basket. They have decided that NHS waiting lists and improving the National Health Service is clearly where they want to put their money in order to try and prove to voters at the time of the election that those services are improving. And you can see very clearly in this document that that is the choice that Rachel Reeves has made. That is, if you like, the proof point. What I would say about that is already within the health department and with experts in health, there's a discussion about the complexities of ageing and more complex health needs, pressures on social care, whether they can deliver those targets of reducing waiting lists in the time frame anyway. But that's where the money has gone in terms of the day-to-day spending. But really what this reiterated to me, when you match up or the mismatching, if you like, between the largesse she seems to be talking about and the actual figures, is some of the tough settlements for things like the Home Office with police and borders and immigration or school budgets. And that's the thing that people really feel in their lives and their local neighbourhoods. So actually quite a tough settlement today for some of those core services.